Thank you to everyone for your time and for being here. So as we've reflected on the year, there's been a lot of excitement in and around this team over the last couple of months, certainly in the second half. Having transitioned to this young core is very exciting for us. Having said that, it did not come without frustration. There is, obviously we understand how tough this was for fans, and it was tough for us. But now we shift our focus to building upon that core, and we're very excited about what that means for our future. Questions? DP? Scotty?
Hi, Mark Douglas, 680 News. So you just spoke to basically my question. Lots of new players this season. Maybe didn't pan out the way you hope. What's the promise for next season for the fans? As you mentioned, you want to do something good for them. You want their expectations to be rewarded. Can you promise them that it will be? That we're better. I think when we look back on 2019 and this offseason of 2019-2020, we're going to look back on it as an integral part to building upon a sustainable winner. This offseason, we're extremely excited about adding to this young core. We'll look to do that in any possible way. Obviously, the primary focus will be pitching, and thinking about adding pitching, whether via trade, via free agency, or the continued growth and development of the pitchers that we do have here, is very exciting to think about for us, to complementing the young core, not only the players that transitioned this year for the first time, but some of the players that had to go back down to AAA this year, and Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel, and came back with a vengeance, came back performing exceptionally well with really strong second halves. Randall Grichuk's second half was extremely encouraging. The overall catching duo and defensive tandem, Jano and Reese, was really encouraging for what that means for our pitching. And the offense of Reese and the upside of Jano. There's the development of Kevin Biggio at second. So what we can continue to focus on is improving upon that and getting better every day.
Ross, it's been pretty obvious, and you've been pretty clear about it, that the priority is pitching. How do you go and improve that this winter?
How do we go and improve it?
How do you go about improving it?
Yeah, I think, so we could talk about the 10 to 15 individuals that are currently here and that will make progress and continue to improve and get better individually, maybe at another time. But that is integral, that our guys that are here do improve and get better, and they all have plans to do so. Then we'll look into the free agency to acquire guys that we feel can make contributions, not in the form of just having depth and building depth, but guys that we can count on and rely on. And then we'll obviously remain open to trades. So, those are the three ways that we'll look to do it, and we're excited about the flexibility that we have to do that, the plans we have for development for the individuals that are here. And then the depth in our system that we have for any potential trades that could occur.
Ross, are you satisfied with the team's on-base percentage? And if not, how do you go about addressing that beyond just some players getting 1 year older?
Yeah, no, we're not. I mean, that needs to be better. We need to do a better job of putting the ball in play. We can't be so dependent upon the home run. And then just overall on-base percentage, there's been a huge initiative this year with Dave Hudgens and Guillermo Martinez for guys understanding what that means pitch to pitch, and not just thinking about on-base percentage at the end of the year, but how they go about an at-bat. And then secondarily, the opportunities that the shift presents. And you saw Kevin Biggio beat the shift. You saw Breivik Valera do it. There was other moments that occurred during the season, and we need to be thinking about just a better overall offensive approach, and we've already talked about that this year. It's not something that is an aha moment for us. It's something that we'll continue to focus on, and already have heard a lot of creative ideas about ways to do that over this season, and then continued into the off season, into spring training.
Hi, Ross. When you talk about adding to this club, what is the urgency level, and can you give a timeline, perhaps, of when you expect this ball club to be competitive?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the way that we're viewing it is to, when we are in the middle of a sustained period of winning, we're going to look back at this offseason as a very important starting point to that. In addition to the core that has transitioned already, this will be a big moment in time this offseason for us where we've made another step forward towards building around that depth. It's just hard to do everything in one offseason.
Ross, understanding that with pitching, it's about overall impact and overall value and not one specific attribute. Are there some attributes that would tip the scales for you guys, like as far as handedness, age, strikeout ability, ground ball ability, anything like that that you might look for above and beyond just being a good pitcher?
Yeah, I think what we'll focus on as much as anything is durability and reliability. And then after how they're getting their outs comes in different ways. Strikeouts are obviously very attractive for any team. There's just more ways than strikeouts to get outs, but we need to do a better job of that as well throughout our system and on our major league team. So guys that do strike guys out are typically your better pitchers, and we need to be developing and acquiring that.
Ross, you've been pretty quiet the last couple of years in free agency. Just when you look at this free agent market, are the resources there to be in on the top guys? And even probably more importantly is the desire to be there, to be in on the top guys there? Yeah,
so I think, what our offseason is going to look much more like the offseason following 16 and 17 than it would be following, 15 and 16 than it would be following 17 and 18. The overall commitment, the openness to different structures and term, the overall outlay will be more significant than certainly was last year. Having said that, I think to say that are we in on the very top tier players versus the guys that aren't on the very top tier, we're going to consider all those alternatives. There's value in every aspect of the market. There's value at the top ends of the market, and then there's values at the bottom of the market. It really comes down to picking the right player.
Ross, in sports, the term lame duck is used often when there's 1 year left on a contract. Do you fully expect to be in this chair when next season begins? And what are your thoughts on the lame duck status?
I wasn't aware that was a term in my contract. I better go back and check it. So I really don't think about it that way. I think about how we can improve and get better, and I couldn't be more proud of where this organization is today, Steve. It is in good shape, and the future is bright. It's just really difficult to do something exceptional and spectacular without some sacrifice. And we've weathered some storm and been through some sacrifice, and now we're focused on improvement and getting better.
Ross, how would you assess how Charlie and the coaching staff did this season? Is the notion that this year was a bit of a grace period fair for them, and what are your expectations moving forward?
Yeah, they've been great. They really have been. It's been, we've been through a ton of change, a lot of new people working together with new players, and it has only been exceptionally encouraging for us to see how this group has worked together. The amount of leadership that has come from Charlie has been evident and clear. The best sign that I think about this staff is just how open-minded they are. It doesn't matter what their title is. They're just all thinking about how they can help one another, how they can improve. They're open to feedback. They're open to information. There's none of the my way or the highway or this is the way we've always done it attitude. And that is paramount for us, because for us to overcome in the AL East and some of the American League just powerhouses, we're going to have to be exceptional in every way. And we're off to a great start on the staff front.
Ross, when do you think Nate Pearson will be ready? And presumably he's going to be under some sort of innings limit next year. So do you delay a start to the year? Do you shut him down early? How do you go about managing that workload? Yeah, at this point with Nate, we're just focused on him continuing to get better and improve. We feel that he's still got some refinement, and he does have to be built up to be a 200-inning pitcher. And whether or not that happens in the minor leagues or major leagues, we'll see. That will largely depend upon
his continued development and our alternatives.
Ross, you mentioned strong second halves from Teoscar and Randall had a strong second half last year, but how do you get guys like that? Is there a way to get guys like that kind of firing on all cylinders earlier?
Yeah, Laura, it's a great question. It's an interesting thing about baseball. There's some common trends in and around that. There's been a lot of discussion from Randall, from Teoscar, from their agencies, from our coaching staff on creative ways to attack that. How much of it is mindset versus physical? How can we adjust the mindset and the physical preparation to adjust for that? Because we were playing much tougher teams. Well, we were playing tougher teams in the second half, and our schedule was favorable when we really struggled. So, some of his maturity too. Some of it is just going through that and becoming a player that does it over the entire year versus just a half.
Ross, veering a little bit toward minutia here with this one, but with Tim Meza sidelined for 2020, does that mean that you guys have to go out and add some left-handed relief beyond what you guys have internally?
That won't be a primary focus for us to add left-handed relievers early on in the offseason, and we'll consider that as we go. We want to prioritize starting pitching. Ben?
Good afternoon. Ross, Ken Giles down the stretch seemed to get stronger as the year went on, kind of putting his issues, I guess, around July through that month where some days he was available, some days he wasn't available. One, is there anything you can share about how the rest, that pocket of time kind of went through and what got him to the point where he was once again being pretty elite for you?
Yeah, I think, Ken, first of all, I can't say enough about his contributions and just how consistent he was. I mean, there was, especially, you're right, Ben, in the second half, if we were winning in the ninth inning, I felt very good about us winning the game. I think there was only one game, and he wasn't in it after the break where that blown save occurred. So he is very good at what he does, and I think the consistency came from just ensuring that he was in good positions to be successful over the course of the year, and Charlie and Pete did a great job of putting him in those spots.
How did you evaluate Bo Bichette's defense, and do you feel confident moving forward that he's your everyday shortstop?
Yeah, the short answer is he overcame some mistakes with range. The range was so good that it made up for some of the mistakes that I don't think he'll be making in the future. He is the type of person and athlete that doesn't make mistakes twice or often. So the range, the arm strength is there. The range is clearly there. The hands are definitely there. His exceptional footwork. Now the timing of who's running and when to get rid of the ball, and then the consistency of transitions for him and fielding the ball on different surfaces, we're confident that he's going to be an above average defender. I guess that wasn't that short of an answer, but.